remember in the face of change that there is nothing permanent except the change, but it got huge relevance for today's topic, leadership and the change management. By default, I think you all agree, human beings are forced to resist change, right? Naturally, we feel we don't want to go out of our comfort, and changes are usually coming with risk. But we have opportunities as well to change, because that provides us a new way to look at this current situation. Here is the sum up of my agenda. Just have a glance through it. I'm not going to read it. It's simple. Another slide, which is, I think, very simple for everyone to guess what I'm trying to highlight here. World is changing repeatedly into different directions. And energy industry, oil and gas, especially EPC, is very vulnerable and it's changing too. If you remember, I think these events quite loudly endorse we are not living in the same world. It's changing rapidly, much faster than our imagination. Either you call it, you remember our Y2K, or war on terror, rise of risk, or COVID. I think COVID is something which is still there, which has affected everyone, in fact. And now current affair for us is Russia invading Ukraine. So everything is playing great role in affecting my project statistics. I'm not going to again repeat because my different speakers, they have already covered about it. But yes, here the intent is only few companies are able to deliver projects successfully, and these, I would say, they are the smart organizations. Companies, 97%, they fail to deliver, plan things within the budget and the estimated time. And also at the same time, they're able to satisfy their all stakeholders, their financiers, their suppliers. Another statistics which says, okay, we have project changes and we really cannot avoid it, but what is there which we should really focus on? We have unclear objectives and business goals. So in today's topic, though it is a change management topic, but for leaders of the organizations, owners of the project, I wanted to bring a very important point here. Are we still looking ahead for the reactive approach? Or do we want to transform our organizations? Why to transform? Again, we are not living in the same world. World is changing. So poor planning, unrealistic schedules, you are again well aware of it. In Project Management Institute research, they have said only 42% of the organizations, their strategy and the project strategies are aligned. Means organizations have their vision, they have their different strategies to become successful, but when it comes to the project level, it is not necessary that it is being, the business case is proposed adequately. 44%, nearly one half of all strategic initiatives are reported to be unsuccessful. So strategy, actions and strategic objectives for leaders, very, very important when we are looking to remain prepared for change. Again, I'm not going to discuss much, we know, but the reputational damage, we know the consequences. It leads to loss to financial capital, social capital, market share value, right? So we have actually much more impact than just the schedule overrun of one project. And finally, losing our face in market. I have my colleague, since time is limited, so I'm not going to play her video, but yeah, you can look into the recording. Okay, now, since morning, I think we have shared a lot of good practices either you call it as lessons learned. We carry out number of risk assessment workshops at the time of feed, at the time of detailed engineering, at the time of even construction and installation. We have different work processes, we have change management, we follow protocol, we have standards, and we are developing it. But do you think that it is still serving, or it is still providing me holistic solution? Because we are still facing challenges. So the question is, are we trying to manage changes? Or our approach as leaders should be to prepare ourselves and to prepare my organization to face different future. So change, is it about today? So when we do the lessons learned and risk workshops, generally these are, we have set of guide words, we have, we have set defined directions or attributes where we look into environment and safety and social. But what about the global? Why my first slide on COVID, Russia, climate change, Y2K, what it is indicating? Do you think that if globe is changing, my organization is not going to be impacted? Isn't it? Everyone, when organization or companies are getting impacted, their effect is going to percolate down to my project, right? So are we prepared, leaders, are we prepared to face the changes? Because I need to do my business safely and I need to do it sustainably. Okay, again, most cited example. We know that COVID-19 has changed everything. The way we eat and how we greet, how we socialize, how we meet, how we work, and how we deliver the project. It has changed. So if you recall during lockdown, what happened, that fear, that everywhere, it's like project. As per another research organization, around 58% of the projects got impacted and few projects were cancelled amid the lockdown. So are we prepared for such kind of disasters again? When we are thinking to handle it through the change management procedure, is it sufficient for leaders to capture or anticipate multiple future? Because when change comes, I think you all will agree, change comes with their siblings, it comes with their relatives. It's not one change, it affects us in multiple directions and at different layers. This is another, again, statistics but just to indicate that how during the lockdown, the stock performance of companies dipped, yeah? So it's going to impact my business. Business means financial crunches. If my market is not performing, my share is not performing well. So we, as a leader, we need to think how to plan for multiple future. Do you agree? Can we envisage future with a linear thinking? No, not certainly now. After saying, okay, it's just the war between, or the Russian invasion to Ukraine, but we cannot rule out possibility of another war. We cannot rule out the possibility of another pandemic. Every now and then, we keep reading another virus, monkeypox. So we cannot we are sitting at a very vulnerable situation or the point in our history where everything is possible. So for leaders to embrace uncertainty, they cannot actually just have planning for one type of future. We have to have different options, right? Because these options, here the intent is not to jump into different options. Here the intent is, I might go in north direction after 5 years, and then I might have to change. I means my organization. So here leaders need to understand this fact that yes, when we are talking about the change management, It's not the change management of a project. All his message was clear. When we talk about change in project at different or various life stages of the project, we talk about omissions, we talk about change of scope from maybe client, we talk about change of maybe the gap between the design and as-built and implementation, or maybe the supplier gets changed and he's not able to deliver as per your expectations. But as a leader, do you think these are sufficient to deal another situation like COVID, to deal another situation like now Ukraine and Russia? We might say we are not really impacted, but we are certainly impacted by the supply chain disruption, right? We are certainly impacted by the material availability. We are certainly affected by the price, because EPC is very price sensitive game. So leaders need to decolonize their thinking by looking into several global changes or the key drivers, either it is on the geopolitical front or on social front. We know that how ESG is playing a very strong role when we talk about the social front. So far in India, we have been talking about unions, right? But unions are a way to, represent their social grievances and all. But it's changing. It's changing. So even the food and energy shortages, investors' pressure. I was talking to my colleague that in India, still we are not getting that much of pressure from regulators, Indian laws, but we have a lot of potential to grow and a lot of investments are coming globally. But these investors, they look for whether their investment is going to be sustainable, their investment is going to be safe, in the safer projects. So as a leader, we are looking into these global key drivers. Let me share one more example where when I'm talking about the scenarios, this scenario planning is a very good approach invented somewhere in 1970s by Shell and US military. They started planning for different scenarios and then getting prepared to deal with different futures. So for EPC, looking into the data, research and the modeling, it becomes very important to know, okay, whether I'm going to get my material supply, availability, from where I'm going to take it. What is going to be the price? So as a leader, are we looking into 2020 or 21 or 22 versus 2050, right? Because that can change even the direction of your business. Do you agree? It can. It might be a possibility what you are doing today is no more viable tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, just think about the pressure which COP26, Paris Agreement about the net zero, about decarbonization, it is coming globally. Again, we cannot say that global impact, I'm going to not face the heat of the global impact. Definitely, we have to. So scenario planning is something which we offer as one of our very strong service, where we help leaders to recognize, plan, evaluate project changes, but first looking into the business vision. Based on the scenario planning, it's a strategic workshop which we carry out with the leaders, with the board of directors and C-suite of the organizations and owners, and help them to envisage or anticipate futures, which is like today in today's panel discussion, I was listening again and again about how to beat unknowns, yeah? So future is actually unknown, but future is also coming with not one unknown, it comes with multiple eventualities. So smart leaders, this is today's need, that smart leaders, they need to have, or I would say they need to brush up their critical competency on decolonizing their thinking. They need to come out of their core beliefs. They need to change their behavior pattern, long-term behavior, that things are happening in particular fashion. Changes are never linear. Mega trends are not moving in straight lines. COVID, it never happened before like this globally. Everything is impacted. So anticipating different future, guessing correctly has a very low chances. We must consider multiple future. With this, I'll just take 2 more minutes because it's my MD message. Call message is clear. I'm not going to cover more because time is short and everyone should have opportunity to speak here. But yeah, key takeaways for us is I think change management helps to manage identified changes specific to the project, but the transformation through scenario planning helps organizations and leaders to become more agile, stronger for to face the rapidly changing world. And with this last quote again from John F. Kennedy, change is the law of life. So it's our choice as a leader. We would like to bring transformation or